back in 2013. My goodness, that's been a long time. I wrote a children's book for my daughter, who was 2 years old at the time. And I really wanted some nerdy books to read to her. When you get to be a dad or a mom and you're a nerd, you seek out the nerdy books, right? And there are some good ones out there, but what there wasn't, there was great nerdy books for 1 year olds through like 3 and 4 year olds, right? Board books and poetry books, like Dr. Seuss type things for, the planets in the solar system, and there's even some for like the periodic table of elements and things like that. But what there wasn't was good books about Linux. I know some of you may be thinking, maybe a 2-year-old doesn't need to read a book about Debian. Like maybe that's not something a 2-year-old needs. But here's the thing. As a parent, as a dad, sitting there reading books, some of them truly wonderful books to your kids, it helps if it's something you like talking about, right? And I mean, talking about planets is great. I love talking about planets. But I wanted to be able to read my kid a book about open source. Linux and computers and all the various things I want to talk about. So I wrote it, and it's this kind of short, rhymey, fun book, right? It's kind of a Dr. Seuss for Linux. I'm not claiming that my writing is on par with Dr. Seuss at all, but that's just the closest thing I can think of that's in that rough ballpark. And for a long time, this book wasn't available anywhere. A lot of books. I wrote actually quite a few books, and most of them aren't available right now. And I'm rectifying that this week. Starting with this one, I'm re-releasing a lot of my books, making them available in nice DRM-free formats for everybody, but I'm doing it as a perk. As a perk for all the subscribers of the show. So you don't buy this book, buy the ebook. You just subscribe to the Lunduke Journal. One of two ways. I've used Patreon. I've used Patreon for a long time, but a lot of people don't want to use Patreon. So I also have locals.com as an option. That's kind of a similar subscription-y service. Either one, you get all the various perks for being a subscriber, like the digital ebooks, but you get this one. Linux for Hank is great. So what you want to do is you want to subscribe via Patreon or via locals. Just like a couple bucks. And then it all adds up. I have hundreds and hundreds of you all come together to be subscribers to the Lunduke Journal. It all adds up and keeps the lights on and allows me to write ridiculous books about Linux for 2-year-olds. But then go to lunduke.com, click on the links there, and it'll take you over to locals or Patreon, whichever one you subscribe to. And you can download this, and you can download it as either a PDF, which, everyone can read a PDF. You put it on your phone or your tablet, whatever OS you're running, you can use a PDF. And then you can read it to your kids that way. But I also have it available as a CBZ. If you don't know what a CBZ is, it's a comic book zip archive. So if you ever read a lot of digital comic books, a lot of times, if they're not in like a PDF or an EPUB format, they'll be in CBZ or CBR, which is comic book zip or comic book RAR, right? It's just basically a CBZ is literally a zip file with all the high resolution graphics in a very specific, naming structure and order, and are inside the zip file. And so it just treats that as a standalone document. So if you have like a comic book reading application, you can use it to read Linux for Hank. I use a lot of comic book reading software for myself because I read a lot of comic books, and so it was just natural to have a CBZ format version of it for this book. Anyway, so you grab that and read it to your kids, and then you get to feel really good about yourself because you have fully indoctrinated your kid into the world of Linux and open source and all those things. I mean, there's rhymes in here for, there's stuff Debian has talked about and Red Hat has talked about and CentOS has talked about. It's all in here. Well, a bunch of it's in here. You get to indoctrinate your kids. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. I love this book. I wrote this for my daughter when she was 2. And so it's a little dedication to her in the front of it. And Yeah, I've read this to my kids I don't know how many times. But anyway, so this is the first of the books I'm re-rolling out this week. I just immediately started going back, thinking about... I spent so much time reading this book and some of my other comic books and whatnot to my kids when they're really young. And I don't know, it just makes me smile. Just makes me smile. Anyway, so if you do want to become a subscriber to the Lunduke Journal, you go to lunduke.com, click on Support the Lunduke Journal. It's down the lower left-hand corner of the screen, or any of those links on this particular article will take you there. Lots of perks. You get an exclusive podcast every week, which just came out yesterday. You get all the comic strips I produce. You get them a week early. So if you like the comic strips that I produce, there's already a couple of them that you haven't seen yet, but that all the subscribers get to see. And books like this. Just roll out books like this. And this week, as the week goes on, there's going to be a couple more books, which some of them are re-releases of old books that have been updated and added to. But there is some new stuff too. Anyway, that's going to be happening over the course of the week. And it's just, I'm rolling them all out to all the subscribers. So you subscribe now, you get all the books as they come out, the podcasts that have already come out, and all the ones that will come out. And you get all those comic strips a week early. It's fantastic. You want to do all that sort of thing. Anyway, this just makes me smile. I love making this. And this was... this was over 7 years ago that I first sat down and started writing this out. Man, it's just, time flies. Time absolutely flies. I can't believe it's 2020. Anyway, quick shout out to Linode for helping make a lot of things possible. If you go to the website right now, if you go to lunduke.com and you click on most of the articles, there's this really cool graphic, it says, hey, you get $20 of free credits to set up, whatever you want over at Linode. It's a lie. Bald-faced lie. It's $60 in credits. We just haven't updated that graphic yet. $20. Bah, that is so a month or two ago. You get $60. $60 for Linode hosting. Set up whatever you want. A little friggin' Kubernetes thing, set up a mud thing or a WordPress WooCommerce thing or whatever you want to set up. Rock it out over Linode. Linode.com/Lunduke, or again, just click the links in the various articles and whatnot. Anyway, thanks to everyone who already is a supporter, the hundreds and hundreds of you that already make this possible. Enjoy the book. If you haven't read it before, enjoy. Honestly, I think it's fun to read even as an adult, but I like random juvenile rhymes, so it works really well for me. Anyway, everyone, I hope you're having a fantastic week, a great start to your week. I hope that this is the best week of 2020. I hope things are just going great in your neck of the woods, and if they're not, sorry, I tried. All right, everybody. Enjoy the book. Read it to your kids. Let them fall to sleep with visions of Debian installs dancing in their heads. And, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.